Look, this is my final major project pitch. So the overview, the genre I'm going for is action, as that's what I'm most comfortable in doing, as I've been doing it pretty much the whole time I've been here, the past 4 years. So it's something that I'm used to. The format I'm going for is non-linear, as it's based in a memory or sort of a flashback. The platform that it's going to be distributed on will be YouTube, as it's easy and accessible. The length will be between 5 and 7 minutes, as it's not too long, and it will keep audience engaged. I haven't added the basic narrative, but it's basically there's going to be a soldier having an interview about a hostage situation that happened, and he's going to report what happened, and it's going to be happening in his memory as he's speaking it. The themes include dealing with PTSD, which would be the memories, terrorism, and how I'm going to respond, how to represent the terrorists. So the genre and format. The visual aspect will be made up of different shots, like mid shots, long shots, and close-ups and extreme close-ups. It'll also use a variety of different camera techniques, such as shaky cam, steady cam for smooth shots, first person, and body cam footage. Audio will be done with Foley audio that I've recorded on set and outside of that, and along with some YouTube videos which have sounds which they can do better than I can, such as gunshots and stuff like that. And music as well will be from YouTube, royalty free, or something that I've created. My technical skills will involve using After Effects for blood, explosions, some practical effects such as blowing off a door, or creating something similar to that, and then using the camera to get smooth shots to get my desired look. My inspiration for this has been a lot of different war movies that have sort of amalgamated into what I've sort of come up with. So some are older, such as Saving Private Ryan. The beach scene on that is very hectic, and that's what I want to aim for when they breach in, is very fast-paced, very hectic. Don't really know what's going on to simulate sort of war. All happens very quickly, even though it's sort of doesn't at the same time. And then other movies such as The Hurt Locker, as that's based in Afghanistan, I believe, or something like that. And it's sort of the same sort of techniques I want to use with showing the terrorists and how they've tackled that. The issues and debates. The classification I'm going for is 15, as it's not enough to put it at 18, because I feel like there's a bit of blood and some swear words, but it's nothing majorly gory or anything like that, because they're going to be wearing a lot of clothing, so it's going to be hiding a lot of the blood and guts and stuff like that. The representation, I'm still figuring out how I'm going to represent the terrorists, as that's something I'm going to struggle with, as I don't want to show them as bad people, but I don't want to show them as good either. I don't want to show any team as good or bad, as I want to show that no team really wins in war. The effects, I'll be exploring how the human body deals with PTSD, and how people deal with that. And yeah, the critical perspective is that no one really wins in war. my research plan. My audience is between 15 and 25, as those are the main people that watch action movies. I'll be analysing different war movies and different techniques that they use. I'll be using primary and secondary research to find which people I need to market my product to. Get different techniques from different movies that I've looked at to enhance the realism of my movie. Explore the issues that have been tackled in the past by different movies and what they've done right and what they've done wrong, and hopefully not do what they've done wrong. Demographic data, I'll look at different surveys that have been done in the past, and I'll also be doing my own surveys to try find what works best around this sort of area. And I will be looking at other surveys that have been done in the past for bigger groups of data, as I have a limited source of people here that will be able to take the survey. My resources, my location is going to be a house on top of Salisbury Plain, as the army used that for training, and that's something that I can use as it fits the area that I want to film in, like in Syria is where it's based, and it fits that quite nicely. There'll be a lot of props such as guns, uniforms, doors and explosives, as that's going to enhance the realism. The equipment I'll be using is lights, tripods, cameras, gimbals, sliders, to get the effect that I'd like to get, making it smooth and making it dramatic where it needs to be. The crew filming will be made up of 4 people, 1 cameraman, 1 boom operator, and 2 runners to help with lighting and other things that they need to help out with. The budget will be around £300. I know that sounds quite a lot, but £200 of that will be returned for the uniforms, because I'll be paying like a deposit whilst they're being borrowed, and then the other 100 is for other things such as makeup. I need to buy some guns, so they've actually got weapons to fight with, and things like that. So the skills that I hope to gain from this is just to enhance my action, as I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of what action is, but I'd like to gain more and be more confident with it. I hope I can use this in further life as well, like showing on my show reel, and then same with the career, sort of show it, put in a show reel. And then with the crew, they'll have dates way before filming, just so everyone can book time off and do whatever they need to, so they can be able to help, and then we'll work around them to when they can film. And the weather, I can't predict the weather, but I'm going to use as many maps of the previous years to when I can film. So if they've been dry on certain days in previous years, hopefully they should be dry those days, so I can predict further along. And then be using the weather map close to the time, weather apps and stuff like that. So hopefully it doesn't rain on the day, because I need it to be dry for the sort of Syrian climate. And that is it.
Cool. So I just kind of want to start off with frame the first question just around your kind of opening, in that you said you chose an action because it's what you know how to do. Mm-hmm. And you started to talk about it, but how are you extending yourself through this? Like, if you can already do it and you're confident in it, what is going to be the challenge with this? How are you using this to develop further?
I'm using it as more of a set experience, so using people on a real life set to do like actual things instead of a college project.
Mhm.
So sort of using the basis of action to build on to the actual set. So have people with real lights and things like that, things that we've never used before, people that we've never had experience for before.
So more of a production management kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
Okay. Got that one.
I was a little unsure. You talked about looking at the effects of PTSD.
Mhm.
I was starting to worry that potentially there's like a personal aspect and then an action film. How you're planning to intermingle that might be a bit tricky.
It was the bit when they were having the interview, and he was sort of saying about how this mission went wrong, and then it sort of goes to a memory of it. So it's as he's speaking, it sort of fades into the memory, and then the memory takes over. And then at the end, it's going to fade back to him sort of speaking again.
Okay. How is that then addressing PTSD?
It's sort of, I'm not 100% sure. It's sort of dealing with the sort of I feel like it shows PTSD through his memory and how he's like dealing with it, how it's still playing on his mind, everything that's happened in that mission.
I can't see the link myself in the way you're currently pitching it, because we need to see the memory having an adverse effect on his current life.
Yeah.
Or there's a reason he's telling this story.
Yeah.
Is he in a group? Is he in a therapy group? And maybe that's the way you work it in. But outside of it, him just doing it in an interview style, it's just him recounting a story, and then we're going to fade into seeing it, aren't we?
Because you don't necessarily have to do that, because maybe it will take away from this action thing that you're trying to deal with PTSD, but actually that's like a massive topic and a completely sort of, they're almost two completely separate things. So just be a bit careful about how you research and develop that element of it. I think.
Yeah. I think have you heard of a TV show called Our War? I think that's what it was called.
No.
So it was on BBC Three. I think it ran for about 5 series, and it was interviews with soldiers in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then it would be mixed in with live footage from their operations. So they'd be telling their stories about how certain situations went down. Now, sometimes they were raids, sometimes they were defending bases, sometimes they were caught in villages and attacked. So that's going to be a really useful research source for you, just to see how they construct that and through what language they use. In regards to, I'm just trying to think of a couple of things I want to ask. Going back to what we're saying, especially what I was saying, you've kind of got a conflict between your two genres, because you're saying action, but then you're talking about PTSD, and you want to make a point about war. And whilst things like Saving Private Ryan are action films in a sense, it's a very different type of action film. And I think your traditional understanding of an action film is something that would glorify the action and the violence, whereas it sounds to me you're trying to take away from it.
Yeah.
So what kind of considerations do you think you need to make there with how you're showing the action unfold and what's happening?
I need to show from both sides, is the first thing I sort of came up with, showing it from the terrorist side and the army side as well, because I feel like both sides, especially the terrorist side, is very unrepresented in what they're fighting for, because even though everyone says that they're fighting for like just for the sake of it, they're actually fighting for freedom, even though it may not be always the right situations they put themselves in. So I feel like I need to research that a bit more on what they're fighting for and how to represent them. So I haven't 100% figured that out.
It's careful not to get into something too complex, because what you're now saying is, I'm going to have a big kind of story behind what the terrorists are doing, and how you represent that in a short film that's a lot of plot information or historical context to get into a short film. So maybe trying to simplify what you're showing. Like if you're really interested in this PTSD thing, you could do it through the action by looking at more of the personal story of what's happening to those people in that particular scene. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to get a whole story. We're not making a 2-hour film here but what you need to do is create an emotive action.
Yeah, you've got a lot of contextual understanding that you need to develop for what you're currently kind of imagining, and you might need to trim that down, or it needs to be very clear and direct. And even to, but I get what you're saying about representing the terrorist side, but I think it's more complex than that. It's about who are they, what are they doing, and then why they're there, and how you show that. So you said Syria at the end as well. Is that where you're thinking in Syria?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so then it does get more complex. But then you're talking about British special forces in Syria.
No, the Blackwater.
Blackwater. So
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if they were in Syria. So again,
No, it's not necessarily like realistic, but it's just
Okay.
that the Syria sort of climate and area matched closer to here than what like
Okay. I was going to
Afghanistan.
ask, have you got a picture of the house in Salisbury?
I do. It's on my phone.
Is your phone just in the other room?
It's in my pocket.
It's in your pocket. Have a look at it.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. More of a video.
That's fine.
Um, Here it is. So I've actually vlogged it for
Cool.
this.
So, my initial question is, does that look like Syria?
No.
Okay. So do you have an issue there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, my feeling from that would be you need to almost reframe it. Which again, it's going to be that's quite a big rethink on what you're doing. But I think even if you did it, it's going to be heavier on your research. But the Bosnia and Serbia is probably going to be the closest setting you could get for a reason for what is clearly quite northern European setting. I don't know if you can think of anything else. But I would say Bosnia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so again, some research into that, or the alternative is you frame it historically,
Yeah.
and you go kind of World War time, but then you've got a lot of research doing, or a lot of costume change basically is the main thing, isn't it, and set dressing, and again you've got things like graffiti which wouldn't have been around, so yeah, I would say, yeah, your Bosnia-Serbian war is your best bet.
That's fine.
It's a great location.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, isn't it? Well, I mean, once you're inside, you're kind of sorted, aren't you?
Yeah.
Unless you just take it from a fictional point of view and you create the entire scenario.
Yeah.
Like, and you can find research sources for that. Like, if you just choose a Tom Clancy book and whichever one you want, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think the kind of the Middle Eastern or Arabic stereotype of terrorism is probably not going to suit your location.
Yeah.
And it might make it more complex for you anyway.
Yeah.
So you talked about research. You told me you're going to do some primary research and some surveys.
Yeah.
On what data you collected? What you asking?
I need to find out what sort of action movies people prefer.
Okay.
Whether they're sort of more blood heavy or more action heavy or more story based.
Okay.
And then also which demographic prefers which and which genders prefer what.
Okay.
That's sort of the main thing that I'm going for.
Could your primary research be maybe more based around asking soldiers their experiences?
I did want to do that. I wanted to try get in contact with Stuart.
Yeah.
And then we've got a couple family friends that have served in the army. And then we've got one police officer friend who's served in the IRA.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to do with terrorism, so I'd quite like to ask him.
I was going to say as well, the other way you could frame it, but you just need to be a bit more careful with it, is just it could be an IRA situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that location. Good. I think that is going to be more valuable to you than surveys about do you like this type of action or this type of action, because you already know what you want to make and the kind of theme of it, don't you?
Yeah.
So you're just going to get data that's a bit rubbish. So use your primary research effectively. Go those questions, those interviews. That's going to help you build your narrative, understand the experiences, things like language, how they talk, how they interact, their experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I think you need to. It's that historical research is the first thing you need to do just to frame it. and then your close analysis of action films. But you've already started that. When you talk about Saving Private Ryan, excellent. It's looking at things like that. I know you've talked to me about Black Hawk Down as well, and that is the type of style you want to go for.
Yeah.
I think you just need to really be breaking them down, because whilst I can see from your discussion of technical codes, you've got some of the basics, but there's a lot more complexity that you could be analysing. So I think going forward, those close analysis of those types of films, close textual analysis, like I said, for you might be better to do it voiceover, breaking it down shot by shot, pausing play, and then look into the Bosnia-Serbian war, look into our IRA situation, see if there's something that's more applicable to the location you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.